Welcome to the Think Factory podcast. We got one question for you. What keeps you up at night?
Welcome back to the Think Factory podcast, powered by OGC Solutions. I'm your host today, Chris Santamassimo, and I'm really excited to introduce a new friend of the podcast, Nick Gawreluk, who is the founder of Print Profit in Minneapolis. So welcome to the podcast.
Chris, I'm a longtime listener and grateful for the opportunity to connect together this afternoon.
You're too nice, Nick, for sure. Must be your Midwestern roots keeping you nice.
Minnesota nice.
There you go. Hey, well, listen, the one of the several reasons I was so interested to host an episode on the podcast with you is I'm just really, really excited for what you're offering to customers, because I think it's something that is really needed in the industry, frankly. But you've really taken the bull by the horns, so to speak, and grown your company, Print Profit, in a fairly short amount of time. And I guess that means I'm right about the need for what you're offering. So would love to hear about yourself and about Print Profit and what you're doing for customers. So take it away.
Yeah, so Nick G, in a nutshell, born and raised in the Midwest, fell into printing industry by pure coincidence. I don't have a family who's in the business, but I went to a local public high school, and little did I know they had almost a mid-sized printing company in the high school that they would train students A to Z, graphic arts 101, print communication management. And I just loved marrying up business, being an entrepreneur, with the creative aspects of design and actually printing something, and how do you market it and sell it and rinse and repeat. So that would lead a young man at 15 down a path that would span over 40 countries, working for some of the largest printing companies in the world, some of the largest equipment manufacturers that serves the industry. And, through that journey, saw a lot of opportunity where this industry, full of hardworking people who are passionate and take risks, we need to modernize if there's going to be a brighter financial future.
And I've talked about this on the podcast several times. One of the things that makes the printing and packaging industry so interesting to me anyway is really the interplay between the latest and greatest technology, including AI, of course, but really syncing with technology that in many cases is not new, at least at its core. You're dealing with a combination of legacy systems or newer versions of legacy systems. But on the software side, as you pointed out, there's some gaps there really in terms of giving print service providers the visibility into their business that a lot of other industries enjoy, but you don't really find so available in print.
Spot on. So, as an industry, just some quick shoot from the hip ratios, we're looking at about, for United States, I can speak for, financial performance of about 2% earnings before taxes on average. So we're razor thin margins, capital intensive industry. Think about all of our raw material price increases, our skilled labor. We're a few bad decisions away as printing companies into some not fun scenarios. So I just stepped back, and from worldwide observations, firsthand experiences, I said, as critical as profitability is to the survival of the printing industry, we are lacking fundamental visibility into those profits, or what may or may not be left there. Where is it coming from, right, at a granular level? And do you have a clear path of how to improve it? And I just didn't see anywhere that we had innovation, modernization in that space. And I said, by golly, there's got to be a better way. And here we are with a profitability software that's out to serve these great folks of the printing industry.
So talk a little bit about, I see you've really filled a need that's there. I mean, the extremely fast growth in your company and numbers of customers, I think, really speak to that. But talk about, the sort of the deep down problem that you're solving, and then, what some of your customers are enjoying in terms of the benefits of it.
So that question you're asking, is when I asked myself when I was living in the last time in Germany, and I had to do an MBA thesis in Germany and dedicate a year to solving a significant business problem. And when I peeled back the onion and spent so many sleepless nights trying to find that answer, it was shocking to me. Here we are in the year 2025, and the bulk of how the industry is running their printing companies, they're running off of traditional cost accounting methodologies that came out of the Industrial Revolution. And we haven't, as a printing industry, really innovated since. And where this becomes so dangerous is the way we think about what does a job cost us has not evolved in that long amount of time. So fundamentally, something as simple as what does this job truly cost me? We as an industry are seeing that unclear. And then the contamination spreads further down, because how do we come up with our selling prices? We do cost plus margin to hopefully derive a selling price that gets us a profit. But if the cost in the first place is wrong, and then the profit we think we're driving is a mirage, there's a reason why business owners around the country are pulling their hair out every month, because by their MIS systems, they're doing right. They get their financials. It's a completely different scenario, and they can't tie the two together. That is maddening, especially in that environment we talked about of high risk, raising price, raising costs. So that's where there's a lot of innovation to say, how can we see our costs clearly? How can we come up with smarter pricing? And how can we see those profits with 2020 vision and go get more of it, right? So it is Chris, this is like a tangled kind of a rat's nest that I had to undo and see clearly and say, by golly, we kind of got to address all three: costing, pricing, and profit, if we want to move a needle for this industry.
Yeah, and what we were talking about before the podcast was essentially that that visibility that you're talking about that was not enjoyed in print has been available in lots of other industries for a very long time.
We are behind. We are really behind. And yeah, I just see that ripe opportunity to modernize the industry that desperately needs it. And it's a bunch of great people who took their own risks for their own reasons and are in business. And I just say, let's help move everyone forward.
Well, do you feel like the absence of that kind of technology is just because, I don't know, people weren't thinking about it, or they felt like they didn't need it, or they weren't used to it? What was the reason that no one said, why are we not seeing the same kind of financial visibility resources that you would find in lots of other manufacturing environments?
I think it's a bit of twofold. Fundamentally, the tablets that each generation of the industry has handed off to each other, the best practices, the things you would never question, right? This is how we estimate a job and come up with the price, and we get a profit. At its core, that has not fundamentally been challenged since the 1800s. I know because I've got all the books and I've seen it around the world and talked. So that is definitely, I'd say, a fundamental area where we failed to evolve. And then from that, our technology, our management information softwares that fall in line with that historical thinking, that as a byproduct has not changed. So we look at it as print profit to say, if there's a better way that really is simple to understand, it's truthful, and it's going to guide us to a brighter future, bring it on, right? The more the merrier for everyone.
Right. And what's the reception been when you come to your potential customers and you say, look, you're missing something, and here's a solution to fill that gap? What kind of reaction do you get from print service providers?
In an industry of that financial average performance mentioned, it's a rare day I don't get a phone call or an email answered, because owners are saying, I'm tired. I am tired of running my business like this for decades. And it is maddening that I can't see critical parts of my business with clarity, much less having a clear path to change that result. So if you've got a better way, by all means, I'd love to hear it. With that, we know nothing in business is perfect, and I'm not batting 10 for 10 on every outreach. The biggest challenge I'll come up against is that traditional way of thinking. And does that owner want to potentially open up the slippery slope of rocking that boat that their business has operated on, right? And questioning that. And with that can come politics, can come very quickly with data. Will show black and white areas that were potentially perceived to be profitable for the business that aren't, and then what you do with that. So it really just comes down to the owner's ability to say, am I willing to think different and potentially embrace a different way of running a business here?
Do your customers report to you that they're experiencing sort of an uptick in their profit margins or because of some aspect of knowing more about what's going on in the business?
Completely. So using the software, it allows these business owners, the private equity firms who may own these companies, the M&A advisors who potentially are involved if there's a certain direction the company wants to go in the future of an exit, to really see clearly for the first time where are they making or losing money. I'm talking at the job level, at the customer industry, at the product, at the process, at the location. I could go on and on and on. But that meeting is so special when you sit down with the group of leaders and they see it for the first time, the aha moments, or wow, there's no way, I would never believe that. But it's really empowering, and it fundamentally changes how they run their business, right? How they come up with their strategies, where they double down on customers, on press purchases, maybe wanting to sell or acquire businesses. So it's a profitability software, but at the same time, it's almost like your business co-pilot of running your end-to-end business, if that makes sense.
Sure. What I find is a lot of PSPs have a ton of data, but it may already be in their system, quote unquote, but getting it out and drawing pictures and graphs and charts and assembling it in a way that they can actually employ it in a simpler way, that's really what you're doing. Essentially, you're plugging your software through an API right into theirs.
Spot on. So we're not here to reinvent the wheel of a management information system. Life's too short for that. We're here just to say, hey, PSP, where does your data live? And we're going to in the most automated way possible, APIs, bring that information into our software and really transform it for what I stated.
Now, do you find that customers already have the data that they need to do these analyses, or does it change sort of how they collect it as well?
It's a mixture of both. They may have it, but the KPIs and the methodologies may be stuck in that traditional printing industry thinking that hasn't changed in 100+ years. The data may not be there. And I'll say no printing company has perfect data ever, never seen it. But what's really cool is even in that scenario, you get owners to say, you know what? Past is the past. Today's a new day. I'm going to plant that seed for my company to change the way we harvest data, to record things, to give me the fruits of that going forward. So the data is just, it's the most fascinating thing. The forms, you get it. What do you have? What do you not have? But we're really successful at, no matter the state of it, how can we bring to life useful information for today and tomorrow?
So give me an example of where you've got a customer that was able to take the software and analyze the different segments, for example, that it works in, or analyze different customers and make decisions. What are the types of decisions that they've made as a result of having this visibility?
So we've been, privileged to gain trust from all different types of printing organizations around the world. We've worked with some of the largest in the world where they have data galore, but seeing clearly in this light, for many of these companies has fundamentally changed the products that they sell, the price they sell it at, who they sell it to, how they manufacture it, how they negotiate, the companies they want to purchase going forward. So it's the same printing factory, but it almost becomes a money ball, if you will, saying when you see the arbitrage opportunities and see it clearly, it allows them to laser focus and go after that profitable growth. On the flip side, I just as equally love serving the smallest print shops out there. We're talking one person, mom and pop, not even a mom and a pop, just a mom or a pop in a basement, and allowing that person to really see clearly where should they be focusing or pricing. So it's been really fun journey, Chris, just really empowering print shops where they're at today and where they want to go, whatever that journey may look like.
You know what I would suspect, Nick, is that some of the customers, once they have this visibility, might start to say no more often. Have you seen that where they're being smarter about the jobs that they'll take, and they say no to work that's unprofitable all of a sudden, and maybe they're going to work less for more money in a sense, right?
Yeah, I know right now working with a shop out in North Carolina, and he has done less in sales, but he's more profitable this year. And it's fascinating once you do have that visibility, right? What's good or bad for your business and the discipline to stick with your strategy. Sometimes less is more, and you see it play out a lot of different ways. But it fundamentally comes back to you got to have the visibility and you got to have a profit playbook accordingly, right? And that's where we really step in and empower these printing companies.
So unfortunately, when you do a podcast, you don't have the visuals like you would have in a video. But if you could maybe put to words some of the types of data sets or calculations that you're able to make for customers with the software, just to give us a sense for, the kind of pieces that they all of a sudden have in front of them that creates that aha moment.
Yeah, I am really, really pushing this company, Print Profit, to evolving to be that business co-pilot for an organization. So let's talk about some tangible examples. This industry typically finds out 2 to 3 weeks after the month is done how profitable they were, right? Getting their P&L back. Which, can you imagine, like Game 7 of a World Series? We got to wait a few weeks to find out who won or lost the game. It'd be crazy, right? But you log into Print Profit and boom, right away, you're getting the heartbeat of your company, real-time profit performance, looking into the future. You already know this month and the month around the corner, how profitable are you going to be? And it's allowing those teams to say, whether that movie ends good, bad, or ugly, I have an opportunity to do something about it, right? Mm-hmm. Bringing to life where are all the low-hanging fruit opportunities. Who's ordering? When are they ordering? What is it that they're ordering? What about what they're not ordering? Upsell opportunities, proactive alerts to say this customer's dropping off or this customer is on fire. Really just going back to that vision. We want to be the business co-pilot that helps empower these printing companies forward. And it's a software that's thinking independently 24/7, 365 about where are the opportunities and where are the risks. And, a lot of it also, Chris, comes down to like financially engineering a company, right? Where does the business want to go this year? And what are the mechanics of what it will take to get there? And we're just obsessed with solving that as we are every day. How can we help guide you to get across the finish line? A dashboard to me is a me too. Everyone and their mother has a dashboard these days. So what? If it's not empowering your team to take an action and move the needle today, what good is it? So you can tell I'm fired up saying there's opportunity to be that business co-pilot and help make the most challenging part of the business, profitability, as easy as possible.
It's amazing. I got to believe that some of the customers have this sense of relief. They always kind of wondered, what's a loss leader, or where am I making the money? But maybe they're fine in terms of how it all shakes out at the end of the month or at the end of the year. But to your point, everybody's kind of killing themselves. They're working too hard. They feel like they have to fill the factory or fill the shop at all times in order to make the money. But that's not so. necessarily.
I love the saying, hey, stop crunching numbers, start being strategic, right? Let us do that heavy lifting for you. And the reality is, and I love it, work with a shop in St. Louis, and I said, I'll remit the name, but doesn't it feel great to see your business with 2020 vision for the first time? He's like, yeah, Nick, but it hurts. I don't like what I see. But the cool thing is coming up with that profit playbook and giving shops, regardless of size, a tangible path to improve, right? That's the kicker. You got to have both there. So I know we can laugh at that comment, though. I still chuckle to this day.
But do you find that some customers are afraid to know because it would upset their whole plan that they've had for decades?
Yeah, this is sensitive information, and it takes a lot from us of, respect and meeting them where they're at. And there's different dynamics within an organization of ownership, and it could be a tight-knit family business, a lot of things. And this has a potential to drastically change the look and feel of that company, right? Depending on where does the leader want to take it. So that whole part of print profit, we just take with a lot of respect and gratitude to be in that opportunity to show numbers, to provide guidance. But it does come with some added complexities of being humans in businesses and different opinions.
It's almost like you have to provide some counseling services too at the same time for these folks that are just going to get hit in the face with data they never expected, right?
Yeah, it's not uncommon where, different members of the leadership team are calling print profit independently and wanting to have their own conversations and wrap their heads around it. But we just want to support each company as much as we can and empower them to work as one, right? And that's where there's a lot of power. I could go into any printing company and I could probably stir up some emotions if I ask about a customer or a product, and I ask that same question around the organization. Oh, that customer is a dog. We don't make money. I don't know why they sell that. Or yeah, they love those guys, right? Print profit also helps get the whole leadership team in one strategic direction, running off strategic KPIs, rowing the boat, like we like to say in Minnesota. And when a team does that effectively, it's a beautiful thing to sit back and see that transformation.
I guess I could see it cascade down to other areas. For example, if you're going to develop a compensation plan, you've now got a real framework to sort of hang the meat on, so to speak.
And track against it and measure against. Exactly.
Yeah.
Yep. And when I set out to create this software, it really was a software that has the ability to empower all different levels of the organization. So where the leadership wants to grant access, they so can. But that was really the vision of, empowering the greater widespread organization to the furthest extent it can, right? It only goes, so far, supporting a 200 to 300 people. You can't have all of them using it, but
Right.
I really wanted it to be beyond just a CFO, CEO.
So you would tend to have the dashboard sit at the executive level, and then they could share it as they wish, but they're the ones that sort of see it first and see it the most.
Yeah, we've really built a software where, primarily it's that leadership day in, day out, but there's aspects of this profitability platform that, CSRs can use and can help them make the best profitable decisions possible, or sales reps, or, project managers. This is, however they term those types of roles. But I really see how can you empower the right person at the right time to make the most profitable decision. And we've built it in that way where, based off of permission settings, that leadership team could empower different parts of the business accordingly.
And how do you solve for the personnel side of this, where you might have CSRs, for example, that are reluctant because their old comp plan basically paid them on unprofitable work, and they're basically, I don't know, they're afraid to use these new tools in order to elevate their game, because now they're being measured differently and they're being measured in real time, and they feel like they're going to lose if anything's changed. So how do you speak to those issues to get those mid-level folks involved and really on the team?
Yeah, it really takes a strong business leader And fundamentally, what we're trying to do is empower a printing company to have a brighter, profitable future, right? We're crazy. We want to dream that for the whole industry. So really positioning Print Profit, saying, hey, this is a unique software that's really going to empower our company to take the business to the next level, and really seeing a bigger buy-in of, okay, we're going to be, as an organization, wanting to really place as much emphasis as possible on growing that profitability, and this is a tool to help us get there. So I think different levels of buy-in and how you share that connection with the software can help relieve some of that angst at a micro level.
Any segments of the printing or packaging industries that you think are the sort of the best candidates for the software, or do you think it's got universal appeal?
The cool thing is, going back to the vision, we want to empower thousands of printers around the globe to have a brighter, profitable future. Software, this is widgets, whether it's a book, card, calendar, wide format, a t-shirt. So from that aspect, we're really able to serve all parts of the industry at all different shapes and sizes. Part of the question you asked, and I didn't anticipate this when building Print Profit, I've had a heck of a time getting to know a lot deeper the apparel decorating side of the printing industry. And when you look at a lot of their MIS systems, keep in mind, a lot of these companies are smaller than the mid to large commercial printers, PSPs. Their softwares may not even be showing them profitability today in any flavor or KPI or recording costs. So it's been fascinating to come in with the Print Profit and really see companies going from blind to that 2020 vision extremely fast. We're more traditional commercial printing who has had MISs, but the metrics within it just really haven't evolved. They've at least had some North Star, where different parts of the industry, this is really earth shattering, something that the rest of the industry might have taken for granted. What do you mean you don't have a management system that records costs, right? Ours does it automatically. So
yeah. Well, I think you're right about your approach, because I've seen dozens of clients that have not just in print, but they've decided, hey, we're going to go and either implement for the first time or upgrade our ERP, and it never goes as planned, and it never goes as quickly as planned. And there's a lot, there's all kinds of reasons why, not the least of which is employee reluctance. But the good news for you is that you're bolting onto an existing system that apparently works for that client. So you're really just the bells and whistles that really give them that visibility and take up the level of analysis.
Yep. To your point, we're data like agnostic. We just go where it lives, right? And then we bring it on over. So.
Well, you just make it sound so easy, and I hope it is that easy. And it sounds look by the growth you've seen, apparently it is. So good for you guys. That's amazing. Nick, I would love for you to tell people the best way to get in touch with you and the best way to check out Print Profit.
Yeah, it's www.printprofit.com. There you get a nice overview of the looks and feel of the software, customers who have loved it, and their thoughts on the impact it's had on their organization. And I'd welcome any discussion with anyone who's fascinated with these topics or has a real pain point today that they believe we could solve. It would be an honor.
That's fantastic. And where should they reach you? Is it LinkedIn or is it somewhere else?
Yeah, LinkedIn is certainly effective. You can either find our company page, Print Profit, or myself, Nick Gawreluk, and would love to connect with you and discuss further.
Fantastic. What else? Anything else in closing that folks ought to think about when they think about Print Profit?
I'm just a 34-year-old who's lucky in life to have fallen into my passion early on. It happens to be print, and I couldn't be more fired up about what a lot of the world seems to think is just an old, sleepy, forgotten industry. The opportunity to modernize this $900 billion industry is just so ripe, and I'm fired up about hopefully the little piece we can play in a brighter, more profitable future of the industry. And if anyone shares that passion, love to talk further with you.
That's fantastic. Well, Nick, thank you so much for really shining a bright light that a lot of people, I think, are going to feel some warmth from for sure. A lot of need for what you're doing, and as I said, your results so far, I think, are really good indicators for that. So continued success, I hope, comes your way, and if you keep doing what you're doing, it sounds like it will for sure.
Much appreciated, Chris. Thanks for the opportunity to share the story.
Oh, fantastic. So definitely check out Print Profit at printprofit.com. And of course, Nick, the founder of Print Profit, was our guest today. And thanks for joining the Think Factory podcast today. And we'll see you next time.